he was fast. The guy I wrestled. He ran around him, and the guy was just following him like this. And all of a sudden, he got his hand on him, and it was boop, boop, and he was out. And I says, "Well, good thing I could have that could have been me over there."
My name is Robert Sagady, also known as the Commenting Collector. I'm excited to introduce this week's guest. He has been in the card community for a long time as he has owned his own card shops. As a matter of fact, he's still selling cards online. He is very active in his community, so he stays busy that way. In addition, he has his own YouTube channel in which he puts out 2 shows a week, and he gives away prizes on every show. He'll show his warehouse finds, and then my favorite part, he tells his card shop stories. And then he ends it with a box rip that he never pays more than $120 for. That's kind of his own principle. And yes, I call him the godfather of the card collecting community. So please welcome Darrell Giordano, also known as Mr. 95 Cents, to the collector's chat.
Oh,
Darrell,
how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited that you're on with me, and we'll get a chance to chat. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing okay. I woke up this morning, so I'm ahead of the game.
There you go.
That's,
Can't complain about that. As long as what they say, you're vertical and taking nutrition, it's a good day.
that's it. That's it. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Hey, I always wanted to ask you about your name, and I sure a lot of people you've told the story, but we may have some new viewers that aren't familiar with your channel. So you call yourself Mr. 95 Cents. How did that ever come about?
Well, I didn't call myself that. People started calling me that, and it just caught on. Uh, so, oh, geez. I, it started
Oh,
off,
Mr. 95 Cents,
yeah.
Darrell, can we put on the brakes? I've
Oh,
already made a big mistake
okay,
because
okay.
I don't want to shortchange you. I know you've probably seen these chats before, and others have seen that we play this game, and
Uh-huh.
it's kind of a silly game, but if you say the secret word sometime during our conversation, it's a word that's used in everyday conversation.
Uh-huh.
This duck will come down,
Ooh.
and the secret word will be something that you mention. And if you say it, Darrell,
Mm-hmm.
fabulous prizes.
Oh, watch out.
You'll have your choice of this Here's Bo unopened pack.
Oh, wow.
That's choice number one.
Hey.
Close Encounters
Oh, nice.
of the third kind,
Uh-huh.
unopened.
Look at that.
Here's one, Battlestar Galactica.
Uh-huh.
And these are all probably from the late 70s or
Yeah,
early
nice
80s.
packs.
Whack, Wacky Packages stickers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you might like this one, Star Trek.
Oh, that's a nice one, too. Yeah.
Now, these were not the original TV, but this is from the movies, but
Mm-hmm.
still good. And if for some reason you do not say the secret word, you get your everyone gets a commenting collector sticker. So you won't leave
Today's secret word is table.
But I apologize for interrupting. I
I
spaced it,
want
but
of those. Look. Where is it?
okay. Well, you'll have two then. All right. Yeah, good.
I want of
Good.
those.
So I didn't want to use it. I didn't want to have you use up your words and say the secret word before. So
All right.
apologize.
All
So
right.
Mr. 95 cents was not you did not someone gave that to you.
Yeah. So what I used to do is I started on eBay a long time ago, and we started all our auctions. A lot of people started at 99 cents. As we're going to be different, we're going to start at 95 cents. So we were doing. I think we didn't have anything for a buy it now. Everything we had went on auction for 95 cents, and we would put 300-400 items a week at least on eBay at 95 cents. And nothing gigantic, maybe $100 card or a $50 card, but a lot of it was cheap stuff too. And then a couple things happened. There was a customer that walked in, and he had a Babe Ruth Dizzy Dean dual autographed unscored golf scorecard from it was down in Florida someplace, but it was actually, the course was owned by a famous golfer back in the day, and it was his golf course. And they were signed, and I had it certified, the whole works. And he wanted to sell it like right away. And I said, well, listen, I said, your best bet is to go to an auction house, or we'll hook you up with an auction house. Now I need the money right away, so I want you to put it on eBay. I said, well, we have a policy on eBay that everything starts at 95 cents. So I can do that, but it's going to start at 95 cents. He agreed. So we put that item up starting at 95 cents, an authentic Babe Ruth Dizzy Dean autograph. And people were a little surprised at that. Not too much. And people started talking, oh, 95 cents. He's crazy, starting that off at 95 cents. and then I was in the arcade business for years. And we had a storage facility we rented for our store. Meanwhile, I had all these machines taking up another storage. And I said, something, I got two storages. Every month I'm losing one of these machines because I'm paying the rent. So I might as well put them on auction and get rid of them. Most of them. I think I saved about 5 of them. So my favorite ones. So I started, it was probably about 20 arcade machines, like the real big ones that you see.
Sure.
I started the auction at 95 cents. And then people said, this guy's nuts, and put it on. And people would come in, oh, that's the guy at 95 cents. Oh, he's 95 cents. And then they start calling me Mr. 95 cents.
Sure.
And I'd have people come in the store, especially kids, because then we started doing crazy commercials on YouTube to push the store. And there would be kids come in the store. I'd be in my back office and I hear them ask the employee, where's Mr. 95 cents? So I got the name.
That's
and it's stuck ever since.
That's great, because I always wondered that when I first discovered your channel. Mr. 95 cents. Interesting.
We still do about 80 auctions a week.
Yeah.
Starting at 95 cents, but we got 16, 17,000 items at a buy it now.
Yeah.
So
that's great. Okay. I was going to ask you, Darrell, when you were growing up, and is that when did you collect baseball cards and sports cards? Is that how you kind of got into the hobby? Or maybe you can tell us about how your whole journey into this hobby began.
Oh, wow. Well, I started collecting probably in 1961, 62. So I remember we were in kindergarten, and it was weird. I went to Catholic school, and the kindergarten had their own little playground that was fenced in. And then they had a big courtyard for all the other kids. And we used to look through our little fence there and see all the big kids throwing stuff against the walls. And we figured out they were cards. So starting I think kindergarten was only a half a day. Starting first grade, we walked to school because we didn't have bus back then. So I think you had to be out of town to get a bus. If you were in town, and went to the Catholic school, especially, you walked. And I live on the last street in town. So I walked about almost 2 miles to get to school. So, and my nephews tell me, yeah, uphill both ways. I go, no, it was
in
uphill
rain and
one
in
way.
rain and snow too, right?
Yeah, it was uphill one way. If it was real bad weather, our
Sure.
parents would drive us, So passing this one store was a newspaper store, and they sold cards. So I used to get a quarter a week back then to do a lot of chores around the house. And I used to spend my money on, I used to get a pack of cards, a comic book, and a candy bar for a quarter. That's how long ago it was. So I had cards. I started accumulating cards. And I was pretty good at flipping too. So I started winning cards. And that's how I started. What I would do is, I was a big Yankee fan. And of course, Mickey Mantle back then.
Yeah.
I would never flip a Mickey Mantle unless the person I was flipping also had a Mickey Mantle. That was the deal. And I started accumulating Mickey Mantles, none of which I got later in life because I was the oldest of four. And probably about the 7th or 8th grade, I abandoned my cards to play sports and all that kind of stuff. And my younger brother is 14 years younger than me. So by the time I got back into it, I was probably about 30. And I went to look at the family box of cards, which was a big orange crate. And most of my cards from the 60s were gone. And here was Thurman Munson instead,
Oh,
instead of my Mickey Mantle, which
well,
my brother loved Thurman Munson. Didn't
okay.
really know who Mickey Mantle was because he was done playing before he
Right.
was born. So, and I got back into cards a little bit. And then I remember the first card show I went to was a few years after that. A buddy of mine said, "Come on, I'm going to a card show. Keep me company." I said, "Well, I'm not really collecting cards. I got a few, He goes, "Come on, come on." So I looked at my collection, and I remember I was missing Horace Clark's. I said, "You got a lot of this guy, a lot of that guy." Horace Clark was one of my favorites back then. He was a second baseman for the Yankees. So I said, "That's my objective for the card show, trying to find some Horace
Sure.
Clarks." So I first booth I walked into was this little old lady and old man. And I said, "You got any Horace Clarks?" They said, "Come back in a half an hour and we'll get some for you." I said, "All right." So I came back and they had a little stack, and whatever they charged me, I think it was $30. I said, "Well, I didn't know what the price of anything was." I said, "Well, that's all right." So I paid them the $30. I found out later that they were worth like $10. They ripped me off, but that's all right. I had my Horace Clarks.
Yeah.
And that's how I started sort of back into it.
Right.
And then I was doing other businesses. I had a big vending machine business where I was running arcades. And I had an arcade in this big indoor flea market. And then we ended up opening a toy store next to it. And then there was a guy with a card shop down there, maybe, 10 booths away. And I started hearing this yelling. And this is probably Shaq's rookie year, about 1990, 91, something like
Sure.
that. And they're yelling because they're pulling the $100 Upper Deck Shaquille O'Neal rookie, which was unheard of back then, that a card coming out of a pack was $100, So I started collecting a little bit then. I started buying some boxes from the guy, and then he wanted toys for the holidays, and he says, "Can I get some toys wholesale from you?" I said, "Tell you what, I'll sell you the toys wholesale. You sell me the cards wholesale." So I started accumulating more and more, and finally we put some out for sale. Then he moved out and gave me all his connections, and that's how I started, pretty much, with the selling cards, which was probably 1/10 of the store, if that. And then I opened a regular card store in my hometown.
Okay.
That's how it started.
So with your vending business, Darrell, you it was like 90% vending and then 10% cards. You had some
No,
cards.
we had, I had a vending machine business, all kinds of machines, probably about 300 machines out at once,
Okay.
with a bunch of employees. And we had multiple arcades. This one, though, was like our base in Garfield, where it was a huge place.
Okay.
was an old Two Guys building, which is a big department store, like a Walmart type of thing. Back then, Two Guys was the big thing.
Okay.
And I had a big space there. And I said, I got a guy making change there, so I might as well build a little store. So I built a little
Yeah.
store around, and then we rented more space. Basically, I think in the end, it was probably about 6,000 square feet
Wow.
between the arcade and the store. I had
Sure.
an office in the back, the whole works. So I was practically living there. It was about
Yeah.
a 45-minute drive from where I live.
Mm.
So some cold winter nights with snow, I would actually sleep there. So, and that's
Yeah.
pretty much how we started. And
Yeah.
then I said to myself, I like the cards again. I want to open a card store. So
Sure.
the store was still open in Garfield. I went to my hometown and I opened a store there because I had a fellow that was managing the other place. And I opened, wasn't a big store. The sports page, that's when the sports page came into existence. That was in 1994. And
Mm.
it was probably about 500 square feet. That's about it. It was a small
Mhm.
store because
Mhm.
Morristown, where I live, is expensive, high
Sure.
end rent, you know.
Right.
So we had that store for, oh, geez, 6 years. And then in 99, the guy would only give us 2-year leases. And we were renting from a big department store. He was on the block right in front of us. So we had a lot of parking. We were the building that on the side that said parking for the big department store. And we had this big lot there. So I think after the second lease, I went and said, I need more than 2 years. And he goes, I can't give it to you because we're going to be building condos on your store thing. I don't
Oh,
know if it's going to be in 2 years or going to be in 10 years,
yeah.
but condos are in the works. As oh,
Right.
geez. So I found Morris Plains, which was the next couple towns over,
Sure.
and we were in Morris Plains 18 years, and then we sort of grew out of that because we had too much stuff going on, and I opened a bigger store. It wasn't gigantic, 1,600 square feet up in Randolph, but we had a 50-car parking lot. So that's when the store went crazy, you know. And we had probably the best store in New Jersey.
And when did you close your doors on your last card shop that you owned, Darrell? When was that
I
date?
didn't close it. I sold it.
I mean, but you personally, when did you step away?
Let's see. That was probably 3 years ago. This past April 1st.
Okay, so that recently. Okay, because I got
Yeah.
on YouTube and I discovered your channel about a little over a year ago. So,
Mhm. I
but
was on YouTube in the beginning. Probably started about 12, 13 years ago,
okay,
just to advertise the store.
that's what I was going to ask you about. Okay,
Yeah, I was on there, and we had quite a few followers and stuff. Well, forget YouTube. I was on You Now, Breaker TV. We did everything back
yeah,
then, and it worked because the store probably became the busiest in New Jersey, and
yeah,
it came to the point where I didn't even have time to do those videos. We didn't need to
okay,
do them,
okay,
so I was off of YouTube probably for at least 10 years
okay,
until I retired from the store.
sure.
And somebody said, "You ought to write a book." I says, "I'm not going to write a book. Who reads books nowadays?" I says, "I'm going to start the YouTube again, and
Hmm.
I'm going to do a video about with the card shop stories and all that."
Right,
So
exactly.
it's like what do you call it, chronology or whatever
Yeah, yeah,
of
yeah,
basically my past life
that's
and
right.
now my current life because I tell you guys what's going on.
Sure. Yeah, because Darrell on his channel, it's very it's very formatted. How would you say? It's very consistent. He'll
Yeah,
start out each show by giving away either four cards or either four cards or packs. He'll have a drawing,
mm-hmm.
and he gets that drawing from people that had commented. Do they have to be subscribers too?
Yeah. If you're a subscriber and you
Okay.
comment, You get a
Yeah.
chance for the 4 prizes.
Okay.
And then from there, we go into the warehouse finds.
Right. And let's stop there. So the warehouse finds, that kind of derived from the fact that after you stepped away from the, as they say, brick and mortar card shop, now you're doing this online.
Yeah, well, I always had an online store. Always.
Okay.
You
Right.
know,
That's a good point.
multiple online stores.
Yeah.
Because, during some of the years were pretty bleak. You needed that online store to pay the rent.
Sure.
So we always had an online store, and a nice fellow bought my store. He paid me a lot of money for it, so I don't have to worry about nothing. But
Nice.
he didn't buy my warehouse, and my warehouse probably has enough stuff in it to stock 3 stores. So I'm working off the warehouse little by little.
Is that your house? Is that in your house, the warehouse?
It's in an undisclosed location. If I told you,
Oh,
I'd
okay.
have to eliminate you or something. I don't know.
I got you.
Top secret location.
Yeah. So yeah. So you do eBay and whatnot. Is that your
Well,
two main?
I'm up whatnot. I never sold on there.
Okay.
I'm too busy on eBay, tell you the truth.
Okay.
I had an Amazon store. I closed that during the pandemic and never reopened it.
Okay.
But eBay keeps me busy, But I also have a store on checkoutmycards.com, comc.com.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay.
And it's nice because you send them the stuff. They list it for a fee. They tell you when they list it. You put your own pricing in, and it sells.
Okay.
So right now we're only operating the 2 stores. Plus, I have visitors.
So that's check on my store.
Check out my cards. comc.com.
Check out my cards. comc.com.
Mm-hmm.
Check out my cards. And we'll say it at the end too. I got to let you get a drink or else
God is great because I got to aerate. I got to aerate. I talk too much during the day. That's the problem.
No, I got you. What's the name of your eBay store, Darrell?
I think our eBay is Sports PG. SPORTSPG is our eBay name.
So
and
yes,
COMC is Mr. MR95 cents.
So you put out a video Tuesdays
and Saturdays, the regular video with the regular format.
Okay.
And then every Friday I do a rare find video.
Oh, sure. It's a short, right?
Yes, a short video showing something rare that we found, which I actually found something rare I'm going to show later.
Okay. And sometimes you'll have it for sale at your friend Sabi's, or sometimes it's not for sale. You're just showing it off, right?
Yeah. Sometimes it's from my personal collection. Sometimes it's pulled from our eBay store or something. Yeah. And then I do for Sabi and a couple other guys, I'll do like advertise their store, show something nice they have in the store and tell people where it is and advertise their store for them. I also do the shows too. So I think the last couple ones I did of Sabi's were actually from his show.
Okay.
I said, what do you got in the showcase? So he brings it out and it's stuff from his store.
Sure.
And I did it right there for him.
Yeah. Well, that's always nice.
I like to promote people,
And if you're in the New Jersey area or some undisclosed location, we can't say, but if you're in the area, it's great to go to those shows because you don't have to pay for shipping and the taxes and fees. So that's what I love about the shows.
Yeah, there's a lot of great deals on there. Yeah. I mean, it's great. You see what I pick up, it's crazy.
Right.
I don't even quibble on the price. I've never said, can I get it cheaper because it's so cheap. Did you see the video where the guy was selling whatever the card was graded?
Yeah, those slabs.
That's what he was selling it for.
Yeah. Well, he was just trying to get anything because he was selling it cheaper than just getting it slabbed. I mean,
yeah. They're slabbing an awful lot of cards nowadays. And there's a glut in the market already.
Yeah.
There's millions of cards a month being slabbed. And some of them don't really deserve to be slabbed. Let's put it that way.
Right.
And people can't sell them.
Yeah. They get something out of them.
Yeah. he was an older guy. He doesn't sell on the internet. So if it was a 7, it was $7. If it was a 9, it was $9 or whatever. And I actually listed most of those cards that I bought. And the cheapest one I think we listed it for $16, $17. So I'm going to almost double my money on most of them.
Right. So in addition to warehouse finds where Darrell will actually show cards that he's acquired that will be listed on his online stores, either ComC or eBay. He also when it's show season, because you take the winter off, don't you?
Usually I take January, February, and March off. They're talking me into maybe possibly doing this one February show. We'll see. It's not that far away, and they're really nice guys,
But during show season, Darrell will actually take you around to all the tables and see what everyone has. It's kind of neat.
Yeah.
But and then at the end of every one of Darrell's shows, you'll rip open a box of product, and like you can see some of the boxes right behind Darrell right now.
There's a bunch.
Yeah. But what is your philosophy on buying boxes?
Well, most of the time on the show, I open a blaster box. Let me tell you something. Fanatics says they're going to 10 times the hobby. So far, the only thing I've seen them close to 10 times is the prices of the boxes. They're crazy. Now, I just looked into the new Topps update. Most guys around here want like $135 a box for that garbage. It's not worth it. I want to say 4 years ago when I had the store, we had that box for $85. And now 4 years later, all of a sudden it's $135, $140. And it's probably got less stuff. Well, it's more mass produced now too. So it's harder to get a numbered card or anything like that, because I follow the numbers, and probably since about 2018, 17, they've increased production of cards at least 25 to 40% every year. So now, 4 or 5 years later, they're making double the cards. And that's why, say you open a box of Heritage Baseball, you always used to get a couple Chrome cards in there. The numbered Chrome cards.
Sure.
Now you're not guaranteed. I've opened boxes with none.
Right.
And the most you usually get, is 1 or 2 now.
Right.
Back then, maybe you got a few, 4 or 5, Now forget about it, because those cards are numbered, but they so mass produce the regular stuff.
Sure.
They have less of a chance of getting. So for the how much some of this stuff's gone double and triple in price.
Yeah.
So we'll be nice. We'll say 50%. For everything going up at least 50% in the last few years, you have the honor of not getting the stuff we used to get. So it's not worth it. So I have fun.
Yeah.
I open up a blaster normally. Sometimes I'll go a little bit more.
Yeah.
But we do the kitchen table box breaks for the local pool leader. And that.
Hey!
Oh, what I do?
Table.
Oh, there you go.
That's a secret word. All right.
Kitchen table box break. Oh.
Kitchen table.
Oh, well, I have the most famous kitchen in the hobby, I think. You've seen a picture. Oh.
What do you want? What should I send you?
I'm going to surprise you. The wacky packs. How's the wacky packs?
Oh, that's a good choice.
I like
that's
wacky
a
packs.
Good choice.
I
collected these. These are one of the first things I collected. So good
nice
choice.
Packs. I remember the wacky packs because I was older. I was the oldest one in the family. I had a brand new Chevy van that had the green sparkle paint job. I came out one day, and my sisters, because one is 4 years younger, one's 6 years younger, they had a whole bunch of wacky packages plastered on the back of my van, ruining my paint job. Excuse me.
I'll tell you a quick story while you're getting a drink. So yeah, when I was in grade school, I collected these, and they were kind of risque, for the time. I remember I must have convinced my mom we were in a department store that apparently I can't remember, but I know I had a wacky packages, or we called them wacky packs, but wacky packages sweatshirt with something.
Oh,
And I
wow.
remember
Man.
and I remember wearing it to school and just feeling like the rebel because I had this wacky packages sweater. So
Garbage Pail Kids. Back when I was a kid, we had Mad Magazine.
that's right.
That was sort of a similar thing.
Yeah.
Uh, and they actually came out with Mad Magazine cards.
Yeah.
I have some of those cards.
Okay.
And those, along with Garbage Pail Kids, especially, some of them are very unpolitically correct now.
That is correct. That's what I was trying to say. So anyway, kitchen table breaks, you were saying.
Yeah. Well, kitchen table breaks, we have that for the local crowd here. It's every couple of weeks, the second and fourth Monday of the month. And I keep the gang from the store together, the old gang from the store together. And they come in here, or I think we have about 30 people involved because, baseball is only 30 teams.
Including, may I interject, Minnesota's own Julie Farnham.
That's right. Oh, yeah. Julie's a member of the kitchen table box break.
Right.
So Pastor Ken G, too.
Pastor Ken.
Mr. Ken G. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Mets. What is this channel?
Pastor
cards.
Ken G, Curveballs.
Curveballs. He's
Yeah.
a big Mets fan.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Forget about it.
Yeah.
He's a Met nut. I remember one time we were in the store. We used to do the box breaks in the store. And I think we might have been doing a Bowman product. He pulled the Tim Tebow Met card out of a box, I think it was. And he almost fell out of his chair. That was a hot card back then. That was the card to get back in the day.
Well,
That's my. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't someone just pull an autograph Caitlin Clark? Am I remembering that?
Yeah, but that wasn't in the kitchen table.
Oh, okay.
So you've seen my kitchen with the big display of boxes.
Right.
So the guys could come in here anytime they want. We're usually here from 12 to 6. And I have Luke works in the front office. This is the front office here. I have 2 offices in the house. This is a special edition I built, and it's nice for a studio. He sits there listing. We have card sorting over here. And then I have a back office where all the stuff is, all like a library, so I can pick the mail and all that, with a mail table where I do the mail. And I do some research there. That's a bigger office. And so they can come over and they come in the kitchen, they buy stuff. We got boxes for them, supplies, the whole works. And since I'm happily semi-retired,
Right.
I don't have to make a lot of dough on it, so they get good prices.
That's great. Say, just circling back real quick, we were talking about your youth. Were you a kid that played sports also?
Yeah, I played a lot of sports.
Right.
Growing up, it was basically just, we didn't have a lot of organized sports. It was Little League Baseball, and that's about it. The YMCA, we played over there. Football, I didn't play. There was always a weight limit, and I always weighed too much. I couldn't play. I think if you were more than 100 pounds, you couldn't play or something like that. So no football for me until I actually went into, well, here's the thing, though. I probably started playing football when I was a kid. We played in the neighborhood.
Sure.
We played more sports in the neighborhood,
right,
than we did in organized sports.
Just go to the park. Yeah.
Yeah. About half a mile from here is a big baseball field, and I remember every summer, we would meet there about 12 o'clock. We played ball all day until our mothers rang the bell or blew the horn or whatever, and we had to go back home. Exactly. But so that's how I started playing. And then in high school, I got involved with wrestling. Yeah. By accident. I went to one school freshman year. It was a prep school. I really didn't want to go, but my parents wanted me to go, and it was kind of far away. So, and I was commuting, so I couldn't play sports. And I think it was in gym class that they had wrestling in gym. So I was pretty good at it right off the bat. I was a freshman, and I didn't know they had this thing. It was a tradition in school. At the end of every year, the seniors would pick a freshman and wrestle a freshman, and they had a big, like, dual meet. The seniors against the freshmen. It was really fair, right?
Right.
So
Battle Royale.
I was probably about 205 pounds at the time. So I wasn't real big, but I wasn't real small. This real brute, we'll call him, picks me to wrestle him, right?
Yeah.
So the gym coach takes me under his wing because they picked you like a couple of weeks before you had to wrestle. And he showed me some stuff. And he says, otherwise you ain't going to have a chance. This guy's an animal, right? He's 4 years older than me.
Sure.
So, and of course, we were the heavyweight match, the last match, and the whole school's there. So I wrestle him. I know I'm probably going to get beat, but he doesn't pin me, which was a big embarrassment. Big.
Nice.
I knew enough not to get pinned, right? He beat the hell out of me.
Survival.
He beat the hell out of me, but I didn't get pinned. So that was the talk of the school.
Sure.
So then I talked my parents into going to the local Catholic high school. And that's where I got involved with wrestling.
Okay.
I says, okay. And I loved it. And except for a little bit of track, throwing a shot put.
Okay.
Assistant wrestling coach. Because, we had to work. My parents were trying to pay for the house. They had 3 other kids.
Yeah.
So if we wanted any spending money, especially if we wanted to drive, you had to find a job and save some money, So I didn't work during the wrestling season. But other than that, I worked at ShopRite, the local grocery store.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah. And I remember the assistant wrestling coach was the head track coach. And he says to me, tell you what, I want you to throw the shot put, right? I said, I got to work. He says, tell you what, you can come anytime you can make a practice, you come, but try to make the meets.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And I was probably the number 3 shot putter on the team that year.
You were the Allen Iverson before Allen Iverson. You didn't need practice. You just went right to
no practice.
right to the meets.
So I got involved with the wrestling. I wrestled for quite a long time after high school too. But we played all kinds of sports.
Right.
Everything from football, unorganized, but we had a neighborhood team.
Right.
It was rougher than regular tackle because we played the 2-hand touch, but I played the line, and you didn't wear any equipment, and it was the same contact basically. So I played all the sports, but the only real organized thing I played was the Little League baseball and wrestling, and that was pretty much it. But I played everything.
So in baseball, Darrell, what was in your repertoire? Did you?
Well, I started off. I remember I started off in the outfield.
Okay.
And I was talking to the other outfielder, and we had a lousy team, and we had a lousier pitcher who was pitching. And me and him, I ever seen Frank on my video?
Oh, yeah. Love Frank. Yeah, love
I've
Frank.
known him since kindergarten. And we were talking, and, we're out there in the outfield talking while this guy's walking everybody. And we said, we can pitch better than that, right? So I started pitching first, and in between playing first base or whatever, then he started pitching a little bit. Before we knew it, it took a few years, but we recruited more players and better players. And me and him were the pitching staff pretty much. And the one other guy, Jerry DeSalvio, he pitched a little bit too in the beginning, and then he moved to Florida. But we were the main pitchers. We probably won. We were in multiple leagues. We probably won 6 league championships in 8 years. And me and him pitched most of the games.
Well, didn't you feature? I thought I had heard from a little birdie that, maybe I'm wrong, you had a nasty knuckleballer knuckleball pitch, didn't you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 I learned it from this other guy, and he taught me how to throw it. It was a pretty effective pitch. I was getting strikeouts off that pitch.
I bet you were.
Yeah, but
Um,
no, we had a good time playing.
yeah. Well,
And then we went into softball when we got older,
yeah.
into softball leagues, and
Mhm.
I think I played till I was about 35, 36. Frank played till he was like 40. Because
Right.
I opened the store, so that was the end of
Yeah.
my playing.
Yeah.
I was getting a little old too. A lot of younger
Yeah.
guys were coming up. So, but once you open the store, you're like a prisoner.
Well, well, three things. First of all, I need to alert all our affiliates that you're going to have to hold back on the evening news because we're going to be going over that half-hour mark. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh wow!
That's fine. Oh, and then I just want to just reiterate. See, the stories that Darrell is telling right now, this is exactly what you'll hear on his card shop stories. So if
Yeah.
if you're familiar, which I'm sure many of you are with Darrell's channel, you may have heard these channels or these stories before, but if you have not watched this channel, this is the gold. These are the stories that you get. So and then the last thing I want to say is, and I was going to say, yeah, things in the youth sports are totally different now. It's a 180-degree change. And because you follow very closely your nephew, don't you?
Yeah, it's all organized. I had the pleasure of having two older nephews. They're now 32 and 34. One was a real good basketball player, and one was a real good baseball player. The one works for the Braves now. He's actually the stadium operations and logistic manager for the Braves. He runs the whole facility. So I took their father moved out of state. They got divorced, him and my sister. So I took care of all their sports. So that was a pleasure. I went to a million games. And then there was a little hiatus. I missed when they grew up. I missed that. But a few years later, I have a younger brother. He's 14 years younger than me. He has two sons.
Mm-hmm.
And they played baseball. They played soccer. I went to those games. But they always played hockey. Since 5 years old, they played hockey. And that's all they play now, except the one does play some lacrosse. And I've been going to hockey games for years. And I'll tell you what, they're pretty good players. This is going to be an exciting year coming up because one's a freshman and one's a senior, and they're going to be playing together for the first time. So it's going to be pretty good. The senior, he's been starting since he was a freshman, and he's been captain of the team for the last 3 years. So it's going to be good.
Yeah. Let me ask you, Darrell. So your last name, Giordano. I think there's a hockey player, professional. Are you related to any of those, or is it a pretty common?
It's
Not
a
common.
common name. In fact, that's Mark Giordano that plays in the NHL. My
Right.
brother's name Mark Giordano.
But no relation. Okay.
No relation. No.
Okay.
But my nephew Ryan, the older one, he's pretty good. Right now, there's 12 junior teams that want him, and the one guy keeps asking me all the time. He runs a team up in Maine, and it's funny. I know I never played hockey, but I know a lot about hockey because I've been watching hockey games for 12 years. Every weekend around the clock, all year long they play. Ryan, his team when he was 14 won the Nationals. When he was 16, his team won the Nationals.
Yeah.
So he's pretty good. Yeah. So and the other one, I think he might be better. He just got into he's just a freshman. He's 6'2" already.
Okay.
So he's a pretty good hockey player.
And that's their objective. That's their goal. And I mean, who wouldn't want to be a professional?
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, he's gotten offers from 12 junior teams. He's going to finish his high school. That's guaranteed. Yeah. But I think he just wants to go to college.
Right. Well, you're pretty close to Canada. I mean, is there any how about Canadian juniors for these kids or?
Well, no, the one team in Maine wants them.
Oh, okay.
There's 12 teams that want them. Most of them are actually in the U.S. A lot of them.
Okay. No, that's nice.
So, but you're gonna laugh. I am now an impromptu, unofficial scout for the Maine Nordiques.
Oh,
Because
okay.
in
Good.
this guy,
Fun.
the guy from Maine trying to get my nephew, I said, no, he's gonna finish his high school, so he's not coming. Forget
Yeah.
about him. And then he's thinking about going to college. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
He says, well, if you see anybody as good as your nephew or even better than your nephew, you send them to me. So anybody wants to try out, let me know.
Yeah. I have to ask you, Darrell, because we have a lot of wrestling, and pro wrestling fans that watch this channel.
Mm-hmm.
You were involved on the promotion end of wrestling, weren't you? In some
Promotion, and
capacity,
I actually wrestled a little bit because, like I
professionally.
said, I was a real wrestler.
Okay.
So after high school, I wrestled AAUs. In fact, starting at 16 years old, I wrestled open AAUs at 205 pounds in the heavyweight division. Because back then, they didn't have these different weight classes. It was 178, and then it was heavyweight. So at 205, you could wrestle guys 300-400 pounds,
Right.
which I did, you know.
Oh gosh.
So I remember the first AAU I went to was at Monmouth College, and I was 16 years old, 205 pounds. And the first guy I wrestled was an older guy, probably in his 20s, and he was smaller than me. He was probably about 200. And I said, "Ooh, I got a break," right? Because there was some big guys there. So I wrestled this guy. He was stupendous. Ended up beating me like 5-2 or something like that. And I was all dejected. And his friends came up to me and said, you just wrestled a national champ, an NCAA champ. I said, what? He goes, yeah. About 8 years ago, at a lower weight class, he was an NCAA champ, and we bet him that he couldn't win the heavyweight division in this tournament. So he's wrestling heavyweight at about 190. He was, I think they said. I said, oh, that's interesting, but I was still pissed off I lost. So I was eliminated. The next match, I watched him. He wrestled this big guy who was an older guy, who was probably in his late 20s. This guy had to weigh at least 350. And I saw what happened. I said, it could have been me. He was fast, the guy I wrestled. He ran around him, and the guy was just following him like this. And all of a sudden, he got his hand on him, and it was boop, boop, and he was out. And I said, well, good thing I could have, that could have been me over there. So, but I got better, and so I wrestled open AAUs till I was about 25 years old.
Oh
And
wow.
then I got involved with the professional wrestling, just a
Oh
little
boy.
bit.
No, I appreciate that. I think you're the first pro wrestler that I've ever interviewed before. So former anyway. So that's
Yeah,
awesome.
I have a lot of friends. Geez, most of them are dead. I talk about it, but as you see, I don't talk about it as much on the channel because
Right.
I get a little soaked up because half the guys I know are dead.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sure.
I'll give you an
Well, we don't
example.
want
Like Teddy Petty, who was the cheetah kid in our association, but he was Rocco Rock. You ever hear Public Enemy
the
back in the
group, the
day?
music group.
No. Public Enemy was a tag team
Okay.
champions actually in the
Oh, okay.
WCW and the WWF.
Okay.
He died young. I mean, a lot of them,
Okay.
half of them died young.
Right.
But we had a lot of fun. We had a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
Yeah. Here in the Minnesota Midwest area is the American Wrestling Association, the AWA is what I
Mhm.
followed when I was a kid, and that's where he had Gene Okerlund because he's a St. Paul. His son Okerlund, I'm blanking on his his first name, but Gene Okerlund's son, he played professional hockey. So
Okay.
just an interesting little thing. But yeah, that was my wrestling familiarity was that. And then of
Mhm.
course the WWF and a lot of the wrestle, of course, our former Minnesota governor, Jesse Ventura, Jesse the
Oh yeah.
Body. Yeah, he was a Minnesota guy, AWA, and then of course he went on to bigger and better things with WWF. Hulk Hogan, he wrestled a little bit in the AWA. So yeah, it was kind of a hotbed around here in wrestling. So I grew
Yeah,
up watching
I
it.
just pulled the card in my warehouse find. I don't know if you saw that video yet of Carl Eller
Yeah,
dressed up as a judge.
yep. He is a judge.
I didn't
Yep.
know he was a lawyer and a
Yeah,
Supreme Court judge in
he sure
Minnesota.
is. Yeah.
I
Well,
didn't know that.
it's funny, Darrell, because he was obviously, well, you talk Alan Page, right? Did you say
Mhm.
Alan Page?
The Purple People Eaters.
Yeah, yeah. I thought maybe you said Carl Eller, but
No,
maybe
was it Carl Eller?
Alan Page is the Supreme
Oh, Alan
Court.
Page. Okay, I
Yeah.
got it
Yeah,
wrong.
no, that's fine. I knew what you were talking about, but yeah, the Purple People Eaters, and these guys were big, but when Alan, or I should say Mr. Page retired, he got into marathon running and he got
Uh-huh.
really, really skinny. And then he got into politics and then he became the judge. And probably I know he's a smart man, of course, but I think a lot of it is his name. And, he got elected and Minnesota Supreme Court. So, yeah,
Yeah,
big,
yeah.
big time. So he definitely had well, a lot of those players, even an Alan Page, who was NFL MVP, they weren't making the million dollar contracts. So a lot of them, they had to have regular jobs too. So
Yeah. No,
yeah,
they didn't make the money. They mostly had other jobs during the season.
yeah, for
You know,
sure. So yeah,
uh,
I did see that you pulled that, and I said, yeah, that's
yeah.
right. So no, okay. So we're getting a little closer to the end here, but I just wanted to switch gears, and if you would indulge me, because I think I heard you mention this on your channel once. You're kind of a Sopranos fan, right?
Yeah, I watched the whole
Yeah,
Soprano thing.
yeah,
It was pretty good.
yeah,
You
and
know,
well, it's one of
Holy
my
Walnuts
favorite.
and all them guys.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah, some of those guys are speaking of dying, they're dying too. I mean, a lot of those guys have passed,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I grew up, I really love that show. I love, Goodfellas and all that stuff. So I just have to ask because, Sopranos is, kind of based in New Jersey.
Hmm.
Actually, obviously fictional, but the mafia, that's not that's a real, the mafia.
Oh
So
yeah.
as a person that owned a business, you're involved, I know, in the business community still as a member of the Rotary. Is the mafia, or was that ever a thing that you ever had any interactions with, or was
I had
that
a problem once.
okay?
Actually, a problem once and a dealing with somebody once. So I was in the vending machine business.
Mm.
Uh, so a lot of people think that everybody in the vending machine business is in the mafia. You
Oh,
know,
I thought it was the sanitation
well,
business.
it's both. You know,
Okay, okay.
if you look at the one movie, I forget which one it was,
Yeah.
but the guy was in the pinball business, whatever. But anyway,
Oh, okay.
so I think it might have been De Niro, but
Probably.
uh, so I remember, and I'd have like video games and stuff in little delis, pizzerias, stuff like that. The owner of a sub shop not too far from here calls me up and says, a guy come in and said, this is his territory and I got to get your machine out of here or else. Now, I was a little bit younger back then. I was a lot younger back then. And, I don't want to say I was a tough guy, but I wasn't. If somebody messed with me, I might not have been the best guy to mess with. So I says, oh, yeah. And he made the mistake of leaving his business card. So I says, okay, give me his business card. So I brought a couple big friends of mine with me, just friends, no big deal. And we went over to visit this guy. He had a little office over there in this town. And this is about a half hour from here. So we walked in, and I says, "Oh, you so and so on the card here?" He goes, "Yeah." I says, and the guy's name was Artie. It was Artie's sub shop. I never forget. I says, "You were in this Artie's and you're harassing my buddy Artie about the machines?" "Oh yeah, yeah. That he's got to get." I said, "Well, that's my machine." You know. He goes, "I don't care whose it is. You got to get it out. It's my territory, right?" I said, I'll tell you what, buddy. I don't know who you are or whatever. You don't know who I am. I says, I'm nobody. But I
Mhm.
says, I'll tell you what, I'm a little crazy. If you don't leave that guy alone or my accounts alone, I'm going to go into all your accounts and offer them half the money. I'm going to give him double the money. So don't bother me anymore. And he did. He did. He said, "Oh, we'll see." I said, "Yeah, we'll see." So I walked out. And he didn't bother me no more.
Oh,
He wasn't in the mafia.
he was a wannabe.
I'd probably be dead if he was in the
Yeah,
mafia.
I was gonna say he was a wannabe, and
Right?
but you
But
turned the
then, but
tables on a
then I'm
bully.
going to
Yeah.
tell you something. Then
Oh,
there was a bowling alley account, and I'm not going to mention any names.
sure.
I walked in there, and nice older guy, and I noticed he had like a bodyguard, a big Italian guy, right? Who I ended up knowing these guys, and I was friends with them. They were very nice guys to me, gentlemen. So at first, I'm talking to the guy about putting an arcade in his bowling alley, and everything was sort of set. And I says, okay, well, I just have the contract here. He goes, oh, I don't sign contracts. I said, you don't sign contracts. I gotta buy all these machines. I'm not gonna buy them with no contract. He goes, well, I don't. I said, it's been nice knowing you. Thank you very much for the opportunity. See you later. And I got up and I walked out.
Yeah.
As I'm walking out the door, this big guy's following me.
Oh, no.
He goes, oh, hold on. Right? He said, I got to talk to you. And I said, oh, I'm in trouble maybe. And he goes, oh, listen. He goes, I'll talk to him. We'll talk. We'll sign the contract. Don't worry. Right? I said, yeah, because I got to buy all the machines. So he brings me back. And the guy says, okay, you're a nice Italian boy, he says to me, because this guy's a lot older than me. I was probably at the time maybe 30. He says, I'll sign the contract just for you. I
Oh,
says, all
okay.
right. So his name, he had an Irish name that I knew him by, that he introduced himself by. He signs the contract, and it's the biggest Italian name you want to see.
Uh-oh.
And I says, what's this? He goes, well, that's my name. He goes, the other name is my business name.
Ah.
I said, why is that? He goes, well, apparently he had a car dealership back in the 30s and 40s. That's how old this guy was. And he says, nobody would buy a car from an Italian back then. So that's why that's my
Yeah.
business name. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So he goes, there's only one stipulation. I goes, okay, here we go. He says, I got a little club in the town across the way. He goes, can you give them a couple machines? I says, all right, no big deal. Well, it was one of those clubs that you seen on the Sopranos.
Oh, one of those. Okay.
One of those.
Yeah.
I knew what it was. I put a couple games because they had kids. They would bring their kids sometimes. And they didn't make much money. We split the money 50-50, whatever. But those guys, I couldn't get out of there without getting a piece of pizza, a drink, or something else. They were fantastic to me. And
Sure.
when I retired from that business and I sold that business, I donated the machines to them. That's how good they were.
Good.
You
Well,
know? So a
that's a
little bit.
great.
It's hard to do business in Jersey without getting involved a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's great. Great story. I'm just glad you haven't like been shaken down or anything. So
No.
good, good.
I
And
was always treated nice.
good. And would you agree a lot of that is just Hollywood? A lot of it, or
Eh,
yeah, kind of maybe
depends. Yeah, it depends.
depends.
I know
Yeah.
we got one town here. It's probably 5 miles away. That's like a hotbed. A lot of them
Mm,
live there.
okay.
It's still going on, but
Yeah.
I think it's more low key now.
Yeah. I have I have a little story, but we don't have time, but I'll tell you off air sometime. But
All right.
anyway, oh, hey, do you have anything? And it's okay if you don't. Do you have anything in arm's reach that you want to show off or
I
any?
actually brought something out of the archives.
You did. Okay, let's see it.
So this is a good one.
All
So
right.
we used to have kids' birthday parties in the store, and a lot of the birthday parties they would bring in pizza. You know, so I didn't know this because Well, my father passed. My father used to help out in the store. When he passed away, I went and cleaned out his house, and in the back room, I found a whole packet of these things that he saved, and they were basically the top of a Domino pizza box. That now I've sold them on eBay for like $100 each.
Oh.
Right? Look,
Oh.
it's the hair versus hair. Donald Trump versus Vince McMahon wrestling match. WrestleMania 23.
Wow.
I don't know. Are you familiar with that?
I've never seen that before.
Well, back then, Donald Trump had a wrestler. He had Bobby Lashley,
Yeah.
and Vince McMahon had, I forget this guy's name. He was one of the, like a Samoan guy up here. Where is it? Up here? Right?
Okay.
They wrestled each other, and whoever's wrestler would lose, that guy had to shave his head. and Vince McMahon's wrestler lost. And there's actually a card somewhere. I have it somewhere of Vince McMahon with half his head shaved off, hair shaved off.
Right.
So this was the top of the box. I never knew he saved them. I didn't think about saving them. But when I found them, I looked them up, and they're like $100 a piece on eBay.
Now, Darrell, is that really a pizza box or what?
Yes, the top of a pizza box. Look,
Oh. What? Okay. Was it Domino's or was it some other pizza?
I believe Domino's it was.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So they're
2006, 2007.
Okay, so you wouldn't want the complete box with the pizza still in it because it might be a little rancid.
Yeah. But he only saved the lid. That's it.
I've got a friend, Drew from Clean Cheap Shots. He eats the 40-year-old gum. I don't know if he'd eat the three. That's from what year is that from, Darrell?
2006-07. So about 2006 figure.
Yeah, so I don't think he would eat the 18-year-old pizza, but maybe he would.
That's pretty old. But I just had that sitting in the office. I said, "Oh, I bet you a lot of guys don't have that."
They don't. No, that's a pretty unique item, and you say they're going for $100, huh?
Well, I don't think we have any for sale now because I'm down to like the last couple. But one time I had like 10 of those.
Oh, wow.
He was saving them.
Well, yeah, you never know.
My father was from. He grew up in Italy during World War II.
Yeah,
and they didn't have anything. They used to save everything. They never threw.
My dad's the same way. That's probably how I got into collecting. Is he just always saved, and he still to this day. I was just joking with my wife because I'm like, we're kind of the filter. Everything he buys at the thrift store comes through our house for a second, which, hey, once in a while I do get some good things, but yeah, it's fun. It's all good.
He saved a lot of stuff.
Do you still have I know you with your as a card shop owner, you've probably seen your fare of just some great cards throughout the years. Do you have like a personal collection of your own that you have some of the good stuff? Or
I have not as much as you think. Probably about 100 cards locked up.
Oh, nice.
And once in a while I'll add one. But I have a lot of cards. I have millions of cards. In our warehouse still is probably 5 to 7 million cards.
Right.
I'm just barely hitting the surface. I'll never run out. I've had offers for people to buy it, but they don't want to pay you what it's worth.
You're talking your whole okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all right. I'm having fun.
Yeah.
I go in there every few weeks and I'll pull a few 3-row shoe boxes out, and that's how I process this stuff. And most of this stuff has been in there for years, so I'm almost totally surprised at what I'm finding. And then on top of that, we got people still coming to sell us stuff.
Yeah.
Like the last video, I showed some Don Mattingly's that the guy sold us a box of like 200 Mattingly's. All nice stuff, most of it. So
Shout out Three Good Nerds, Justin. Three Good
Oh,
Nerds. Shout him
yeah.
out. Yeah, collection. What is the rarest or most valuable card you ever had in your possession? Like, do you ever have a 52 mantle or anything like that?
I never owned a 52 tops mantle. I had a chance to buy a couple over the years, but everybody wanted a lot of money for them, and they weren't in good shape. I did have the Bowman rookie mantle,
Oh, that's nice.
and back then I bought it. It wasn't in great shape, and I regret selling it, but I needed the money.
Sure,
I
of
was
course.
basically, I want to say I had the store for like a year.
Yeah.
And back then, the business, I opened on the strike year in '94. Business
Oh,
wasn't that great. So,
right. That's
so a guy sold it to me, and
yeah.
let me have another piece.
Yeah. No, I appreciate your time, Darrell. I know we're going a little long. We'll be wrapping up soon,
That's
but
all right.
appreciate
I
it.
just
Thank
talk
you.
too much. That's the problem.
No, it's great.
So,
I ask a lot of questions.
no, not just. While I was eating dinner, I got a phone call. So, it's a very interesting day that I usually go through, and I probably meet or talk to an average of 15 to 20 people a day easy. So,
Yeah.
but that's all right. So, no, getting back to the mantle. So I picked up the mantle. I think I paid $400 for it, but it wasn't in good shape. It was in position. That's okay. We'll put in the case for $600. This is in the '90s. So I was actually laid up. I used to bowl. I used to be a competitive bowler too, and I hurt my back. So
Did you
I
ever
was
bowl a
laid up.
300 game?
No,
Okay.
but I did pay my income tax on my bowling for 3 years.
Nice.
So I won some money doing it. So, I hate to say it, but I had sand in my shoes. You ever hear that?
No. What do you mean?
I only bowled good enough to win.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if there was any handicap, I was getting it.
There you
I
go.
wasn't getting much at the end, but
That's right.
anything you can get is better than nothing.
Yeah.
So, but no, which it was almost not on purpose. It was if I was in the game and could win, I had incentive. If I didn't, I would lose concentration.
Did you
But
ever see the movie Bill Murray was in it called Kingpin?
yeah, I watched
Isn't
that.
that
That's pretty good.
one of my favorites? Anyway,
What the hell was I talking about? I forget
oh,
now.
you're talking about your mantles.
Oh, so I put in the case for 600, and I'm home laid up. My father calls me up and says, "There's a nice man that wants it, but you can only pay $500." I said, well, Jesus. I says, let me talk to him on the phone. So it's a regular customer. His son is in the hospital with like a leukemia type of thing. He's like 10 years old, and he wants it for him to lift his spirits up, and he can't afford the 600. I said, you know something? I knew who they were. I says, you can have it for the 500. So he buys it. I never hear from them again. Right? So fast forward, oh geez, at least 10 years later. And we're not in Morristown anymore. Now we're in Morris Plains. And in walks this kid. He's like 19, 20 years old. And he's got the card because the card had distinctive markings on it. And it was actually in the same holder I sold it in. And he wants to sell it.
Huh.
Now, I do remember his father saying that I think we had a little contact with him, but not much after that. The kid came out of his leukemia and went into remission. And the father, to this day, still says it was the uplifting from the card. All right. So the kid wants to sell it. And I says, he doesn't know I sold the father the card, I don't think. So I says, well, I sold your father that card. He goes, oh, you did? I says, yeah. And you know something? I don't know if it means anything to you, but it
Right.
means a lot to your father. So
Right.
unless your father comes in and approves the sale, I'm not buying it.
Exactly.
So I don't know what he did after that. You know,
No.
it was funny. 10 years later, the
Yeah.
car comes back. You know, and he wants to sell it, and
Yeah.
so I didn't buy it. There was another guy who had 52 mantles, and he walks in and he's got binders of 52s, like
Mm.
3 binders
Mm-hmm.
with multiples of every card. And this is again back in the 90s. Stuff was a lot cheaper. And he doesn't have the mantles and the binders. And I say, "Oh, these are nice." And I says, I can, pay you whatever. He goes, "But I do have, he had a mantle in an envelope. It's like a rag."
Yeah.
So at that time, a rag like that
Mm-hmm.
might have went for $800,
Right.
right? So I made him an offer with the rag,
Mm-hmm.
and he says, "Oh, that mantle's worth a lot of money."
Mm.
And I says, "No, it's the most I can get for that is maybe $1,000."
Okay.
Oh no, you're crazy, blah blah blah, boom, boom,
Right.
boom, right? So he took the whole deal away. What I should have done was say, "Listen, keep the mantle. Here's the money for the other stuff."
Oh, yeah.
But I
Yeah.
this is back when I first started.
Yeah. Because he was fixated on that mantle.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a rag. It wasn't worth the money he was
He didn't
asking.
realize the other 52s were worth a lot of money too, I'm sure. Yeah.
And then there was a guy that came with another one, but it was in real good shape, and he wanted a ridiculous amount of money for it. This is a couple of years later when things started getting better. I just couldn't afford it. So in 30 some years of having a store, I only got a chance to buy 2 mantles, and I didn't get them.
Well, I was going to say, knowing you the way I do, or knowing your style, I don't know if it ever happened, but I would imagine if some old lady came in like with their dead husband's collection from, pre-war, and
Mhm.
she had no idea what they were worth, you would probably give her something honest. I'm sure you wouldn't take
Oh yeah.
advantage of her.
No, I have had a lot of people come in like that.
Yeah.
Uh, there was, geez, I never forget. We were at a show in Pennsylvania. This is back in the 90s. Jeter was super hot. He just
Mm.
came up. Everybody wanted his cards. And I was going to shows with a stack like this, and they were going in one night. So I said to my buddy John, "We got to get more Jeters. You really couldn't buy them at a decent price in Jersey." I said, "We'll go out of state. We'll go to do a show in Pennsylvania or something. We'll bring," this is how long ago it was, "we'll bring Lindros, we'll bring this guy, and we'll trade him for whatever," right? So I remember we went with all the Pennsylvania stuff, and we went to the show. It was in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and people thought we were crazy, especially the hockey guys, because I was trading them like Lindros, and they were giving me Brodeurs, you know, and good stuff too, and like double what I was giving them, because they wanted Lindros. So
Yeah.
there was a lady there though, and we were in the hallway, and they had a main room, and this guy comes out and he shows us a real good card. I can't remember what it was, but it was probably at the time a $500 card. He goes, "There's some old lady in there. She don't know what she's got. She's selling her dead husband's stuff, and I picked this up for $50." Right? So we didn't say nothing, but my buddy John says, I gotta go in there. So I said, "I'll watch the tables." He went in there. He came out about 2 hours later, and he says, "I repriced all her stuff. She had no idea what was worth what,
Mm.
and she already got ripped off for this and that,
Right.
but I repriced all her stuff for her, so now she knows what the stuff is worth."
Uh,
We always believed in that, giving
yeah.
people the straight deal. You
Sure.
know,
Yeah.
uh, I like to sleep nice when I go to,
Exactly.
I don't need to rip people off. I don't want to rip
Right.
people off.
Yeah.
But there's a lot
Yeah.
of people that do that. It's a
Yeah.
shame. It's a shame.
No. I believe in karma. Those people that are going to do that, it's going to come back to them somehow.
Well, back when I started, there was a lot of guys in the business
Yeah.
and a lot of scumbags. A lot of those people are no longer around, and
Yeah.
I'm still here.
You're still here.
So
And
it
on
pays. It pays to be honest.
and we are so glad in the card community that you are still here. It's just been a joy, Darrell, of Mr. 95 cents. It's been wonderful.
I have a
So
lot of fun. I have a lot of fun doing it
good.
and meeting
Good.
all the guys from
Yeah.
all over,
Yeah.
even out of the country.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You
It's
know.
international for sure. You got all the Canadians,
Oh
you got
yeah, geez.
Japan, you got whatever. It's
We have a great.
Philippines. Philippines.
We have a great card community.
Yeah.
The gang we got here.
Yeah.
You know, it's fantastic. I think.
It
You
is.
know,
It is.
it's it's different from being in person a little bit, but
Yeah.
it's the next best thing.
Well, look at us. We've never met face to face, never even
Yeah,
talked on the phone, and here we are talking over an
yeah,
hour like we've known
yeah.
each other. It's great.
No, it's fun. You know.
It's great. And I want everyone that doesn't maybe watching and seeing you for the first time, where can they find you out there? You mentioned you had Facebook and where can they find you?
Well, I'm on Facebook. That's actually where I have a stronghold.
Yeah.
Uh, I have a personal Facebook page where I post all the videos, and then I have an old store page called Wow Sport Cards, aka the Sports Page MC Game Room, which is the new and old name of the store, and I
Okay.
post on there.
I'll put
Uh,
that in the description.
yeah, uh, but under my regular name, I have a big Facebook page.
Darrell Giordano
Yeah, and I've
or
got
Mr. 95 cents.
probably
Mr.
when I post on Facebook between friends and followers, it probably hits about 8,000 people
Oh
because
wow.
I have on my personal page, it's always about 4,900 and some friends because they only let you
Yeah.
have, I think the limit's 5,000. So
Yeah.
then we got followers and stuff like that because I used that when I was in business for the most part.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of local people, but people from all over. And we're on Instagram too.
Okay.
Instagram on Mr. 95 cents.
So you can search Mr. 95 cents and
We're on
find you.
Instagram too. And
Yeah.
on YouTube. You know, you
YouTube. Yeah.
yeah, YouTube. We
Mr.
got our featured channels.
Yep.
Yeah, Robert's one of our featured channels. We got a
Yeah.
lot of great featured channels down
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And I try to watch all the featured channel videos. It's
Yep.
not easy.
No.
You know,
I'm sure you're subscribed to a lot of channels. How many feature channels do you have approximately?
I would say we got to have at least 30 or 40.
Yeah.
You know,
But you
I invite if if they watch my videos
yeah.
and they're family friendly, I could put them as a featured channel.
Yeah.
And it's a shame one way that I just barely have enough time to watch all the videos from the featured channels. So I don't watch anybody else really. You
Well,
know.
well, yeah. I mean, that's a great way to do it. And you watch it while you're sorting cards and whatnot. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah, for
I'm
sure.
behind Robert because
Yeah.
I did that breakfast.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
shot for like 4 days.
yeah, yeah. Darrell's still a very active member in his local Rotary Club, which is a business intensive or it's business focused.
It's not as much business as it used to be.
Oh, okay.
It's anybody now. It's more of a civic organization.
Oh, okay.
So and it's international.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, we help people from all over the world.
Yeah.
We our individual club just paid $5,000 for postage because there's a company that does heart operations, charitable organization down in South America, and they needed $5,000 to transport this heart machine to South America. So we donated the money.
Hmm.
But that's what we do. We do events, fun
Nice.
events,
Good.
and we raise the money and we give it away. You know,
That's
it's a
great.
great club.
That's great. That's
And I'm
good.
the president elect. I'm going to be,
Yeah.
if I live long enough, I'm going to be president next year.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is good, and yeah, I'm sure all the viewers right now. This is what I call a Minnesota goodbye. We would say goodbye, and then about 20 minutes later, we're still talking. But
Oh,
that's great. I just want to actually even say another thing too, because you get about what 50 comments on each of your episodes.
yeah, it's about that. Yeah,
Okay.
50, 60 comments every episode.
So Darrell gives away 4 prizes. So if you figure, and I think you mentioned this on your last one, you figure out the odds. That's like a 1 in 12
Yeah,
of winning a
12, 14 to
prize,
1 shot. It's not
14 to
bad, right?
1. And he does 2 videos a week. So let's
Mhm.
just say every 6 weeks, if you're consistent, you'll probably just the odds in your favor. You're going to win something. So that's pretty good.
And I send extras too.
And he sends extras too. And obviously, that's not the only reason you watch his channel, but I don't know any other channel out there that gives away 4 prizes twice a week. It's awesome. But what
Well,
you've been listening.
I was giving out 3, and
Oh,
then
okay.
one of the guys in my kitchen table box break says, "You're getting too many comments now. You got to give out 4." I says,
And
"All
then
right."
I heard one guy at the show say now they're even sending you restaurant gift cards. What kind of racket are you going?
Oh wow, yeah. Oh, Robert sent me Popeyes.
Yeah, yeah. Because that's a tradition. Darrell had mentioned that after each of his shows, he likes to treat himself to a Popeyes, which
That
I
one
love
show I
myself.
do,
So,
I do a show in Edison, New Jersey,
yeah,
once a month, and they got a Popeyes next to them. And
yeah,
that I started doing that 3 years ago when I started doing the
yeah,
show.
yeah.
Because there's not a
Well,
Popeyes around here.
yeah, and not that he solicited it or anything, but I just appreciate the fact that he's giving away the prizes, then he's paying his own, postage and then the time, and he's throwing in the extras. So I just wanted to see if I could give something back. So that
Uh,
kind of got
uh,
there. So
I appreciate that I made a living in this industry, and I'm still making a few bucks. Uh, for geez, now it's like 36 years almost. So I like to give back a little bit, you know, and that's why I do the Rotary Club too. I do the Rotary Club in the town. It's not even in my town. It's where I had the one store for 18 years, and I used to say I live here, but I go home to my house to sleep because I spent more time in that town than I where I lived, and have a lot of great friends there. I remember they pretty much, you know, kept me going with business, and I appreciate it. So
yeah.
I try to give back. That's what I do.
Well, I appreciate it. This will be coming your way. Speaking of
Oh,
giving back, so congratulations on that.
not that the
No,
wacky pack.
wait.
The
My
wacky
bad,
pack.
my bad. Somehow I'm projecting. Actually, Darrell wanted the wacky packages sticker.
Wacky packs.
Yeah, but you know
Yeah.
what? This might find its way in that extra package too. So there you go. So
Gee.
anyway,
I
so
appreciate it.
Darrell, thanks again. Really appreciate it.
It's been fun. A lot of
It,
fun.
it's been a joy. I appreciate your time. I know you're busy, but yeah, it was really good. And I'm sure the viewers got a kick out of hearing more of your stories and getting to know a little more about you. So stay put, and I'll be.
Now, wait a minute. Wait a minute now.
Yeah. Okay.
You got to watch Robert's program. He puts on about a video every week.
Oh.
And you got to see his fantastic intro with the now.
There it is.
He's got the
Thank
best
you.
now in the business.
Right, I appreciate. Oh, and don't forget a little plug. My annual, my annual Halloween special. So there
Oh,
might
that was
be,
good last year.
yeah. You might have another surprise cameo from Wayne and Garth, and that's all
All
I'm
right,
gonna
get ready.
say.
That was a great
Okay.
video.
All right. Thanks again. All right.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, I apologize, but I don't apologize because I think I'm trying to change the format where we go down to a half hour. But and with Mr. 95 Cents Giordano, just too much to talk about. So I'm sure it's all greatly appreciated that we went the extra distance. So I'll wrap it up because there's not going to be much more to say. If you remember, that hasn't been already said, it was a great episode. And if you liked it, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed and you enjoyed this content, there's going to be more because I do plan on probably having a shorter format. I'll try to keep my promise next time. That way we can get more channels on, because I'd love to do this collector's chat at least once a week. And then, of course, I'll sprinkle in my other content throughout the week as well. So, until next time, this is the commenting collector saying good collecting.